This video is part of the Arduino tutorial series. The topic of this lesson is Arduino functions and how to deal with them. We will learn what they are for and learn how to create our own functions and use them in sketches. A function is a piece of program code that can be accessed from different places in the program. It can be represented, for example, as a seal, a stamp. We make it once and then stamp it in different documents, and along the way you can change the arguments, in this case, the date, and the color of the ink that we transfer to the body of the seal. Another function can be imagined as a baking dish. Once we make and then bake various cupcakes in it from different dough and with different fillings, but with the same shape. So, depending on the input data, the so-called arguments, the output result will depend, the finished cake, the so-called return data. The main purpose of functions in programming is to optimize the repeated execution of the same type of piece of program code, which allows you to avoid repeating code segments in the program and useless use of available memory. At the same time, each time we access the function, we reuse the code that is written in one instance. And more importantly, the result of the function execution will change with the change in the input arguments passed to the function. At the same time, it also becomes convenient to make changes to this repetitive code, because it lies in one place, in the function body. But the joke is that in the Arduino IDE, programmers use functions more often than not for their canonical purpose. Since functions easily allow you to structure a program into separate code segments with their own individual tasks, they are used to break down large complex sketches into structural parts. This allows you to develop programs that are easier to read and understand. It is also easy to transfer individual functions to new sketches for other projects. The description of a function in a sketch has the following general structure. It contains the return data type, function name, input arguments, function body enclosed in curly quotes. In the body of the function, there are familiar operands, as well as an optional operand return, which completes the execution of the function instructions and transfers data of the specified type to the function call site. For us newbies, functions differ in the type of data they return and the number of input arguments. Now let's quickly fight non-subscribing. Subscribe to the channel, like it and move on. I mostly use functions that take nothing as arguments and return nothing. The void type in a function's return type tells the compiler not to complain if the function doesn't return anything. In such a function, you can, for example, control the states of inputs, outputs, print something to the port monitor, or change external variables. In the function body, you can manipulate global variables. Change from value, use them in operands. You can also create internal variables that are visible only in this function and are created anew each time it is called. That is, they do not retain the value from the last call. But with the static designation, internal variables can retain values from the last call and are also allowed to be used here. You can learn more about this nuance from the lesson Arduino Visibility of Variables. A function can take arguments but return nothing. It may also take no arguments, but return data of the given type. It also accepts arguments and returns something. Functions in the text of a sketch are usually called in the following ways. If the function returns nothing, then. If returns something, then. Or even can be used as part of a Boolean condition. In the function body, the return statement terminates the execution of the function and returns the data. It can be used more than once in one function. And also with its help, you can simply complete the execution of the function when the desired condition is reached. As for the beautiful structuring of the sketch for an Arduino-like controller, the functions allow you to bring the text of the main function and the main program loop to a minimalistic view. At the same time, the functions themselves can contain a weighty sketch with complex calculations and access to various communications. The body of each function itself can be stored in a separate file, edited in a separate tab of the Arduino IDE program. I advise you to structure your sketch, if possible, into such clusters as, for example, configuring inputs and outputs, processing discrete inputs, processing analog inputs, processing the project task algorithm, network communications with external devices, processing outputs. In the next video from the Arduino tutorial series, we will look at an example of how you can decompose these tasks into separate functions and arrange them in separate files for ease of development and debugging. In the meantime, we need to remember that a function is defined in the program once, but it can be called many times. Each time a function is called, new argument values can be passed to it. A function can also return data of a predefined type to us, or it may not return anything, then we define it as a void type. Thank you for subscribing, likes and comments, and see you soon.